Hi everyone, it's Mike again with another mixed media canvas start to finish video. This time it's the winner's canvas of my 500 subscriber giveaway, and this one is being sent to Nana3, otherwise known as Marianne Macmillan. This canvas is a deep 8x8 canvas, and as you can see I'm giving it a real good coating with black gesso. I'll end up giving it 2 coats, but I'm not going to bore you with the entire process, so I probably will speed through it right to the end. Okay, so that's now nice and dry. I'm going to start laying out my junk items on the canvas, and I'm going to keep narration for this canvas right down to a minimum so you can sit back and just enjoy the process of all the pieces going on, and then I'll join you again when I have something I want to point out. But before I lapse into silence, I just want to explain my reasoning behind, or my thought process behind the actual layout for this one. As with most canvases, you need some sort of focal point. You need some area where you need to start, really. So what I always tend to do is I always pick a corner. Now usually it's the bottom left hand corner or the bottom right hand corner, and I add most of my larger items onto my canvas first, and then I fill in with all of the smaller pieces. And depending on where you want your quote, your focal piece, your photograph or your image, whatever you're including on your canvas to go, that's where you need to leave the least items. So I'm building up from the bottom left hand corner, and as you'll see, that's where the majority or the bulk of the items will get stuck down. For those that are interested, the whole canvas from start to finish took me approximately 2.5 hours, but I have been able to edit the video and condense it down by speeding it up a little bit and taking out some superfluous bits to around about 30 minutes or 25 to 30 minutes, so it's not too long. Before I created this canvas, I did have conversations with Marianne to ask her what kind of things she'd like to see on a canvas, and I know that Marianne really likes steampunk, and she also loves angels and cherubs, so I've included some of those items onto this canvas for her. She also gave me the direction to go for the colour scheme for this canvas too, so all that is down to her. And for those that are interested and can't quite make out what I'm actually using to stick all my junk items down with, it is just a hot glue gun. Okay, I'm using my mobile phone here just to do a Google search for a NASCAR driver called Dale Earnhardt. Now the reason for that is that the colours that I'm going to use for the canvas were based on his colours that he uses for his livery on his car and on his costume or his driving outfit. There is a particular reason for that, and that I'm not going to go into it for this video because they are personal to Marianne. So that's why I'm doing it, just in case you were wondering. So now all of my junk items are on the canvas. I'm now going to go over everything with 2 or 3 coats of the black gesso, and you will see me using the heat tool as I'm applying the gesso in some areas to make sure that it is drying as quickly as possible. You'll see me turning the canvas in all different directions to make sure that I'm getting the black gesso in every single nook and cranny that I possibly can, to make sure that everything has a liberal coating of the black gesso and to make sure I've not missed any spots at all. Now it's imperative when you're using items on your canvas such as the resin or metal objects, because they're non-porous surfaces, you need to make sure you get a real good coating of the gesso on there so that the colour that you're going to add on later really keys to it. If you've never used gesso before, the gesso contains a chalky sort of compound so that it has something for the colours that you're going to add on later to key to. So that's the reason why we use the gesso. Most of the canvases that you can buy are already pre-gessoed with a white gesso, but because we're adding items like this, we need to make sure that we're adding on extra for the colour. So any texture that you're adding onto your canvas, you do need to make sure you add the gesso on. Now you can see I've just swapped brushes, so I've gone from a 1/2 inch brush down to a smaller one, about a third of the size, just to make sure I can get right underneath some of the items that have got raised areas, and so it's really just to use to poke into all those really tiny areas. And don't forget to add the gesso underneath any of the items that may overhang the sides as well, because they will be seen. Okay, I'm just giving the canvas one final heat blast, and remember that you've got metal items on there, you've got resin items on there, so they will stay hot once you get them really hot. So I'm just adding in a few extra bits of gesso, and then we're going to be ready to start adding the colour. Okay, so for the first layer we're using Ruby Slippers from Indigo Blue. This is a metallic acrylic paint that I've made a spritzer with, and you'll see me start to add that colour in a second. And this is my most favourite part of making a mixed media canvas, is starting to apply all the colour layers. I will be using the heat tool to set the colour layers in between each layer, so you will see it go on and off, and then me adding colour and then heating back up again, just to make sure so it will go off and on, and you'll see me also adding colour to the sides of the canvas, which is really important to make sure it all blends together. Because it's quite a deep canvas, you will see it from the side when it's actually on a wall or stood up.
Okay, next you'll see me using a mother of pearl acrylic paint, which again I've made into a spritzer by adding water to it in a bottle, and I'm just going to give that a little bit of a layer too. Okay, you can see me holding the canvas up now because I wanted to make sure that we've got some of that colour to start running down and giving a bit of a drippage effect. So next we're going to be using the Vodka Martini Silver Metallic Acrylic Paint from Indigo Blue again, and this is going to be one of my top coats, and I'm making sure that my brush is really and again really dry, and I'm going to dry brush the metallic over all of the elements so it catches all the raised and highlights of all of the junk items on the canvas. And I do apologise in advance because at some point during the process I do go off camera a little bit, but not too much. But you can see what I'm doing, you can see the whole process, you don't really miss out on anything. If you're creating a canvas like this and you think you've added too much colour over the top, you can always go back in and add some more of that base colour. Now I'm looking at the red there thinking perhaps I've gone a bit too far with the mother of pearl and the silver, and that it might need some red putting back in again. So you can add over the top just some pops of colour, which I'm going to do in a moment. Now I was going to add some drippage, but it didn't work, so I got rid of it and then added on the colour with the spritzer instead. And those little pops of colour really do make a difference. Now here I'm using some black metallic acrylic paint just to start toning down some of that really brassy, well not really brassy, more too silvery or shiny silver, and it just helps to give the canvas a bit more of an aged and distressed look. kind of the mixed media equivalent of adding distress inks to a project. Adding the black like this does help to pick out some of the detail in your items too. So if you've got an item, a junk item, that you've kind of lost a bit of detail because of all the layers of paint, it really does help to pick out some of those details and make them a bit more prominent and make them pop. And the beautiful thing about doing one of these mixed media canvases is that if you go wrong and if you don't like it, you can always just get the gesso back out again and repaint over the whole thing and start from scratch. But happily, I'm not going to do that. And just to tie everything together now, I'm going to add in some splatters of colour as well over the canvas. The same principles of layout and composition and using splatters, that kind of thing. It's a similar sort of process for art journal pages and to some extent scrapbook pages too. So if you can do those, you can pretty much do one of these canvases too. And there you see me just using that silver spray that I created just to add some silver splatters to it as well. Okay, so here I'm using a real fine detail brush just to add the black back to the dots on that domino piece. Now I've used a number 3 domino piece. There is a particular reason for it, and that reason obviously is for Nana. So there are elements on the canvas which are particular to her, so, and she has an affinity with the number 3, so I've included that too. So here I'm just adding some of that black detail to another cherub, which I'm going to add to the canvas in a little while. Now I've deliberately kept this piece separate because I want to add this almost last, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, so as promised, I'm going to put a name on the canvas too, and the name that obviously Marianne's chosen for hers is her YouTube name, which is Nana3. So I'm using the small Scrabble tiles and a big button that I've got with the number 3 on it with a cherub. Now this is where happy accidents occur. Now as I'm trying to place the area or trying to place these items on, something happens that just I was really thrilled about. I was going to put the word Nana in a straight line across the canvas like that, but when I lifted the canvas up, did you see it drop down and started to form around the clock piece? And I thought, wow, that looks absolutely fantastic. But I'd already stuck the cherub down, so I had to peel the cherub off, take all the glue off the back and redo it all again. So you'll see I do it a couple of times because stupidly I should have stuck it on last, not first. So I've taken it all off and I'm going to put it all back again in the right order this time.
And there we go, one complete canvas for Marianne, also known as Nana3. I hope you've enjoyed the process for this video, and if you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up so YouTube know that you want to see more videos for me, and they will also recommend the video to other people to watch. And if you haven't subscribed already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. So thank you so much for watching. I know it's been a bit of a longer video than normal, but I'm sure that it was worthwhile in the end. So again, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me again real soon for another start to finish video.